Hello and welcome aboard my narrowboat. I've been exploring the Caldon Canal for a few months now, and it's probably the most beautiful canal I've been on so far. The reason it's so beautiful is because it goes through the Churnet Valley, which is a really picturesque area of Staffordshire. There's lots of industrial heritage here too. There's even an old railway with steam trains. Now it's time for me to leave and explore some canals I haven't been on before, but before I do, I'm going to give you a narrowboat tour of the Churnet Valley. Starting to rain now. The weather's been so strange today. It was sunny earlier. It was so sunny I had to wear my sunglasses. It's a bit windy now. We've had hail and obviously it's just started to rain, so I'm not sure how far I'm going to go today. I set off this morning from a place called Frog Hall, and I'd like to be able to get to somewhere called Console Forge. It's a popular place for tourists to visit, and there's one spot in particular where I'm really hoping to moor my boat. But I've been told there's only space for one boat, so I don't know if it's going to be free. I need to go and do this lock now, and it's pouring down with rain, but hopefully it's the only lock I'll need to do today. Got my windlass. Another boat has arrived, which is good timing because boaters often help each other with locks.
Later.
Thanks for your help. That was really lucky. As I was going through that lock, or about to go through it, some of the boaters came along and helped me with the lock, so yeah, that was really good timing. One of the things I enjoy about narrowboating is the way people help each other, and also the random interactions you end up having with people. If anyone's thinking of moving house, then the house on the right there is currently for sale. Another thing I love about narrowboating is that I end up discovering places I would never normally visit. The Churnet Valley is only about 40 miles from Wolverhampton, where I grew up, but I didn't even know it existed until quite recently. Who needs to fly across the world when there's scenery like this 40 miles from Wolverhampton? We're now approaching Console Station, which is one of the stops on the Churnet Valley Railway. The railway line runs very close to the canal here. In fact, it's so close, the platform overhangs the canal. Oh no, it looks like there's a boat moored where I wanted to moor. But I've just remembered that my boat is only 30 feet long, so there should be just enough space for me to fit. And I'm getting some help mooring from one of my new neighbours. He and his partner moved from Canada to live on a narrowboat, and they also have a YouTube channel, which I'll put a link to below. This house is also for sale, by the way. I should get sponsored by estate agents. In the morning, I'll show you why I wanted to moor in this particular spot. See ya! Bye! I'm not as brave as they are, and I've decided I don't want to get wet today, so I'm going to occupy myself by doing some video editing, then continue my journey tomorrow. Today I'm hoping to get to somewhere called Cheddleton. But first I need to fill up my water tank, and there's a water point next to these lime kilns on the left. This is probably the most scenic water point I've ever stopped at. The lime kilns were built in the early 1800s and were used to turn limestone into quicklime. My boat is now actually on the River Churnet, by the way, because this is where the river and canal join up and become one on a stretch that's about a mile long. The boat's going even slower than usual at the moment because this is a river and we're going against the flow of the river. When I came down here before, I was going really fast because the flow was pulling me along, but it's really really slow now. I'm going to have to give it some more revs on the engine. We're now approaching where the river and canal split off from each other, and there's a lock here where I can get back on the canal. If you look over there, that's the River Churnet, but we're going this way back onto the normal bit of the Caldon Canal. I need to let some water out of the lock so that it's the same level as the river. Now I can open the gates and drive my boat in. Now I need to fill the lock up with water so it's the same level as the canal, which makes the boat rise in the lock. And now I can open the gate. This lock is quite difficult to open, by the way, because it's leaking at the other end, so that's why I'm struggling a bit. Hopefully I won't have any more trouble with locks further along the canal. It's quite windy today as well, so that makes it a bit more difficult. I'm really glad this lift bridge has been left open, because these can be quite tricky to get through if you're a solo boater like me. I now have 3 more locks to do before I can get to my destination and moor the boat. The next stretch of canal runs parallel to Cheddleton station, which is the headquarters of the Churnet Valley Railway. Boat's struggling a bit. I think it's because it's so windy and also the canal's quite shallow. But the canal is about to get even more shallow. This lock pound in between the 2 locks is pretty much empty, so I'm gonna have to fill it up if I can. I've never done this before, so I'm a bit worried, but we'll see how it goes. I'm opening this paddle on the top lock so that water pours in from further up the canal. But instead of letting the lock fill up like normal, I'm opening the paddles at the other end so the water will flow into the lock pound below. It's working, the pound's filling up. Not sure how long it's going to take though. The ducks suddenly have a lot more water. I think part of the problem is that this lock gate here is leaking, so water's just draining out of the pound. I'm wondering if it's full enough now for me to get the boat through. I don't want to drain the other bit of the canal accidentally. I'm now closing the paddles to stop the flow of water. If I did clickbait, I'd probably call this video "Disaster on the Canal." But this isn't a disaster. Things like this just happen when you're using canals. They're hundreds of years old and need lots of ongoing repairs and maintenance, so I kind of see it as inevitable that there'll be problems like this. You just have to get on and deal with them. The level of the pound has dropped a bit, but I think I'm gonna go for it. Hopefully I don't get grounded. I think I'm going to have to fill it up a bit more. My poor little boat is stuck. I've just got to get through this lock now before it gets dark. This lock is really deep and one of the paddles is broken as well, so it's taking ages to fill. I'm so glad to get through. I didn't know if I was going to make that or not. Next to the canal is Cheddleton Flint Mill, and I was lucky enough to visit here on one of the days when the mill was actually running. The mill was previously used to grind flint for the pottery industry, and it was transported here along the canal. The mill is powered by water from the River Churnet, which was diverted here about 250 years ago for this purpose. The mill is unusual because there are two water wheels. In fact, it's the only place in Europe where there are two parallel water wheels still working. And there's nowhere else in the world where there are still two parallel working flint mills. Incredibly, Renee, the daughter of the last miller, still lived here until 5 years ago. She was born in this cottage here, then moved into this one when she got married. The mill is free to visit, so it's worth popping along if you're in the area. Now back to the canal, and it's finally time to moor the boat. Before I go, I need to say hello to Louis the Labrador. Hello Louis, or woof woof. This photo was sent by Louis's family, so hello to Jan, Dave and Sean. Apparently Louis fell in the canal last year. Don't worry Louis, I've done that too.